Because in London, as I say again, the board on the elm board is all one colour, so you can't pick which colour double you want anyway, or treble. But TV-wise, competition-wise, red treble. Start off like that, and you don't have to cause any.
Yeah. Now, in my particular case, this is where you and I differ, and we do differ in many ways when it comes to playing darts, I assure you. But in my particular case, I would think that the 5 and the 1, and possibly, if I was lucky, the 18, they would be receiving much more attention than a lot of the other segments. Now, I mean, you don't just buy a dartboard and then just wear out one segment and throw it away, surely?
Well, the manufacturers, again, have been very nice to us, really. They've made it so the wire comes off. That wire clips off over there, as you can see. Just comes over, and you can spin the board. Obviously, take the wire off and turn it round to the next number.
So, in fact, any black segment, or one with the red treble, as you've said earlier, that can become the treble 20?
Of course it can, yes. But if you move the board, say, once every week, if you're practising at home, unless you play 30 hours a day, put as much as you can in, then you're going to wear one out. But a life of these boards at home, playing weekly, should last at least 3 years, if looked after.
It's still advisable just to keep turning the board periodically if you are particularly good on one segment, I suppose.
That's right. You should turn it anyway. Keep it well turned so it wears out evenly. You don't want one part worn out and the others all in good shape. And then when it comes to the end of the board, you say you've not got your lifespan out of it. They should last quite a long while, and usually they're priced somewhere, anything up to £17, £18 a board. That's pretty good value over say 3 or 4 years. For the lifespan of a board, yes, if it's treated well. John, now before we move on, we've got the board in position. It's cosmetically nice with the tyre around it. Is there any other points that we should note? I suppose there's just a couple of little things. It's not going to bother most people, but you do get a lot of them that say the board's gone hard. And they take it down and they soak it in water. But I mean, that's a past thing. It goes back generations to when they did have all the time wooden boards. So they soaked the wooden board to keep it nice and soft so the darts went in. With these, they're made of pig bristle, like an M, which is fastened onto a chipboard back. It's actually glued in and then put under 1,000 pound pressure, condensed to what it is, and a metal perimeter put on it, and wired. These are hand wired, every one's put on, and you've got the finished product. You don't soak a bristle board, you just leave it. If you turn it and turn it regular, it'll look brand new, but in actual fact you've worn it out. It's gone hard. And then your darts are going right through to the glue, and mostly they're bouncing out because they're hitting the glue, which is very hard, and shoving the darts back out of the board. So really, don't soak a bristle board. That's a good thing to remember. Fine. If you can obtain a wooden one, then soak it regular, else the board will expand all different shapes as it dries out, and the wires will all bend, so you get a bigger 18 than what it should be, or a smaller. Yeah. Sometimes that's handy. Yeah. Certainly for a player of my standards, isn't it? Any other things, John? Not with the board. I think let's keep it simple. We'll go into the scoring, how to score on it, which doubles to start off on. We'll do that later when we've got round to the actual fixing of everything. Our dartboard's in position, John. Now, how do we know where we stand? Well, this is we don't know where we stand, and yet we do. This is an awkward question to ask. We drop a line from the face of the board down to the floor. That's if your wall is, say, slightly out. In some old houses, the ball may be 2 inches out of plumb. So we drop a vertical plumb line or a piece of wood flat to the board, to the floor, mark it, and we draw a line along there until we reach this mark here, which should be 7 feet 9 1/4. That's this throwing distance. Seems a rather strange distance, John. I mean, how did someone arrive at a distance of 7 feet 9 1/4? Well, fortunately, it is now established at 7 feet 9 1/4, as you rightly say. And if we move over here and look at an ordinary mat that you find in your Lowe. Yeah, now this is the one that I'm more used to seeing. Yes, that's probably the one that, if the landlord can afford one, he's got one. That sort of thing. Or, again, I refer back to youth clubs, because we must not keep referring all the time to pubs. This game is played with the youngsters. Indeed, yeah. Where, you know, they're not all allowed to go into a pub until they're 18, or they're not supposed to. So we've got 12 and 13-year-old children playing. All the marks you see on here, from the 6 feet 6, the 7 feet 6, the 8 feet and the 9 feet, and all of a sudden we've got a yellow one in the middle with nothing on it. That's the one we use, the yellow one. All the mats were made to fit all different parts of England, or Great Britain, or the world, which all those various numbers are on there. The yellow one is the one that they've had to add in after. I'll tell you the reasons. The 6 foot 6 one is mainly Nottinghamshire. the county that I play for. There is another one closer than that at 6 feet, which they don't put on because the manufacturers all of a sudden finished it with marks all over them. The 6'6", we'll talk about that one, was used in Nottingham mainly because the little tap room bars weren't big enough to throw any farther back. They couldn't get back to 9 feet. And we found out that in Cornwall and Devon, there was throwing from 9 feet, and in fact in London as well, used to throw from 9 feet, and many other places in Great Britain. The News of the World standardised its competition many years ago, brought in the 8 feet throw. So then we need another mark on the mat because the people throwing at 9 feet said, we're staying there, we're not moving. Rightly so, you can't tell someone he's got to move.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden came along the inter-counties, the Super Leagues and things like that, who said, well, 6 foot's a bit too close, 7 foot they play in the next county, let's have a mark at 7'6". So we all finished up playing from there for about 6 or 7 years. And then, of course, they went across to South Africa, that play from 9 feet and still do, a lot of them. Mm. They go to America, who play from the 8 feet march because that's their accepted throw. And they went to Australia and New Zealand and found out that, again, the throw was 8 feet. So they come to a World Federation meeting, which takes many, many years, probably 50, 60 years to get together, and decide, let's have one mark so everybody can know where they're going if you travel abroad, or you travel to Nottinghamshire, Derbyshire, that you're going to stand at the same throw, and hopefully you're going to produce the same goods. You can't throw same from 6'6" as 9 foot. And I can prove that, because the 6 feet lads, in my opinion, are almost unbeatable. They don't even take the coat off to play. They just go up and throw the things, and in they go. So we have arrived at 7'9", which we hope from now on and forever will stay the standard throw. We must point out here that the News of the World will still not move. They play from 8 feet.
That is, of course, a major competition that remains outside of what you're saying.
That's right. They are not involved in such things as world ranking points because they're not accepted, because they won't come forward to the mark. Again, it's their right to do so. The competition's been running since 1940. It's hard to expect somebody after 50 years to say, you've been doing it wrong for 50 years, you know, move to our mark. They won't do that. They say, if you want to play in our competition, you play from our mark. But thankfully, all the rest of the countries have moved. So,
and they are now at a standard 7'9½".
Most of them.
So basically then, John, the 7'9¼ now, measurement now, throwing distance, which is an accepted standard norm for all major competitions, with the exception, of course, of the one you've mentioned, the News of the World, that appears to me, as a layman, to be a sort of compromise in between the two. The accepted 7'6", which was the accepted distance in England, as you say, played for 5 or 6 years. The 8 foot, which was generally played throughout the world. The 7'9" appears to be a bit of a compromise.
Well, yes. I mean, it's the sensible thing to do. If we want to play the game all on equal par, we can't help that some people are 6'3" and some are 4'6", but we can at least get a standard throw. And the board, we've got the board at the right height. We've now got the throw that everybody can compete on equal terms. It is important. I mean, football pitches vary in size, but usually they try to stick to one standard size, and darts is more complicated because we're working within an 1/8 of an inch margin. So it is important that that line is kept exactly where it should be. And of course you get a lot of home teams when you play many games of darts. You'll find out the board's a little bit lower, the throw's nearer, and they've not lost at home for 7 years. That's because they've not got it right. Set the thing up right, and you can usually tell when you have been playing for quite a while, which you probably will do eventually, and many more people out there, that when they will be instantly able to tell that the throw is either long, short, high or low. That comes with years of practice. Now,
how long, approximately, John, not exactly, but how long have we now been playing on the accepted 7'9¼ mark?
Well, at this present moment in time, I should say about 6 years that it's come in as accepted. As we say, there are still people who won't go to it. But they are moving, because if you don't play off it, you can't be a champion. You can be the 6'6" champion.
So therefore we've got our first basic fundamental point in being a champion, which was the opening to the video, the point of the programme. If you're playing from another distance, for enjoyment, no problem, John, but if you want to be the champion that we're trying to encourage, it's got to be 7'9¼
It must be. You can be the best player in the world from 6'6" and never win a title that matters. You'll never win the World Championship. You'll never win You may never win the News of the World either, because that's farther back, obviously, but